If you feel sharp in the morning, then hit a wall after lunch, you're not imagining it. That fuzzy thinking, heavy eyelids, and low drive usually come from a few predictable body systems, not from lack of willpower. For most people, the biggest drivers are blood sugar swings, digestion pulling resources, and a mismatch between what you ate and what your brain needs to stay steady. Stress, poor sleep, and dehydration can amplify everything. So the same lunch can feel fine one day and crushing the next. The good news is you can often narrow it down with a simple mental checklist. Start by noticing timing. Do you crash at 20 minutes, 60 minutes, or 2 hours? Each pattern points to a different mechanism. Over the next few minutes, you'll get a clear model for why the slump happens, what common lunches trigger it, and which small changes usually make the biggest difference. No hype, just physiology you can use. Moving to slide 2. Let's start with the most common pattern, a fast rise in blood sugar, followed by a drop. When you eat a meal heavy in refined carbs, your glucose can rise quickly. Your body responds with insulin to move that glucose into cells. If the rise is steep, the response can overshoot for some people, and the drop that follows feels like sleepiness, irritability, and brain fog. It's not that your brain runs out of fuel, it's that rapid changes in fuel availability can make your nervous system feel unstable. This is why a lunch that's mostly white rice, bread, fries, or sweet drinks can feel great for 15 minutes, then rough an hour later. The crash can also trigger cravings, because your brain is trying to get back to steady. A key clue is timing. If you feel worse 60 to 120 minutes after eating, blood sugar dynamics are a prime suspect. The fix usually isn't eating less. Moving to slide 3. Even without a dramatic sugar crash, your meal can be high glycemic, meaning it breaks down into glucose quickly. Think refined grains, mashed potatoes, many baked snacks, or a big portion of pasta without much protein or fiber. The faster digestion happens, the more likely you are to feel that weight of sleepiness. Fiber slows absorption. Protein slows stomach emptying. Fat can slow things too, though very high-fat meals bring their own issues. Another overlooked piece is liquid calories. A sweet coffee drink, juice, or soda can hit fast because there's almost no chewing and little fiber. If you want a practical test, compare 2 lunches that have similar calories but different structure. One is mostly starch, the other includes protein and high-fiber plants. Many people notice the difference within days. This isn't about demonizing carbs, it's about pairing them so your energy stays level. Your brain tends to love steady inputs more than spikes. Moving to slide 4. Now let's talk about the post-meal diversion. Digestion is work. After you eat, your body increases blood flow to the gut and ramps up activity in the parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes called rest and digest. That shift can be calming, which is great, unless you need to do deep thinking right after lunch. Bigger meals amplify this effect because the stomach stretches more and digestion takes longer. Meals that are very high in fat can slow stomach emptying, so the digestive workload lasts longer. This doesn't mean fat is bad. It means a heavy, rich lunch can feel like a weighted blanket on your brain. A clue here is how quickly you feel it. If the slump starts within 15 to 30 minutes and you feel physically heavy or warm, the digestion shift is a likely contributor. Portion size, meal timing, and meal composition can change this without changing your whole diet. Moving to slide 5. There's also a built-in biological dip in alertness after midday. Your circadian rhythm isn't a straight line. For many people, there's a natural drop in core alertness in the early afternoon, even if you didn't eat. Lunch can stack on top of that dip and make it feel dramatic. If you notice you crash at roughly the same clock time, regardless of what you eat, that's a hint. Sleep debt makes the dip deeper. So does inconsistent sleep timing. And if you're exposed to dim light all morning, your brain may never fully turn on, making the afternoon feel worse. This is why 2 people can eat the same meal and have totally different outcomes. One is well-rested and light-exposed, the other is running on a short night and caffeine. The key takeaway is simple. Lunch is often the trigger, but your daily rhythm is the stage it plays on. Moving to slide 6. Hydration and electrolytes are another quiet factor. Mild dehydration can reduce mental performance and make you feel sluggish, and it's easy to drift into it by lunchtime. Coffee can mask thirst. Salty foods can increase thirst later, and if you're in a dry environment, you lose more water than you think. What's tricky is that dehydration doesn't always feel like obvious thirst. It can feel like headache, low energy, or trouble concentrating. Electrolytes matter too, because water balance depends on minerals like sodium and potassium. You don't need anything fancy to test this. Notice your morning fluid intake and whether lunch is paired with water or just another caffeinated drink. Also notice if your slump comes with a dull headache or dry mouth. Those are hints. Hydration won't fix a high-sugar lunch crash, but it can turn a borderline day into a functional one. Think of it as raising your baseline. Moving to slide 7, let's zoom in on protein, because it changes how your brain experiences the afternoon. Protein increases satiety, slows the pace of digestion, and provides amino acids that are used to build neurotransmitters. That doesn't mean a high-protein lunch gives you instant mental clarity, but low-protein lunches often lead to two problems. You get hungry again quickly, and you're more likely to snack on fast carbs to compensate. Another angle is the balance between protein and carbs. If your lunch is mostly carbs, your body may shuttle more amino acids into muscle, changing what's available in the bloodstream. The practical takeaway is to make protein a non-negotiable anchor at lunch, especially if you're prone to crashes. This can be eggs, fish, poultry, legumes, tofu, or dairy if you tolerate it. Pair it with fiber-rich plants and a moderate portion of carbs, and many people feel steadier for hours. Moving to slide 8. Fiber deserves its own spotlight, because it's one of the most reliable ways to prevent the post-lunch slump. Soluble fiber forms a gel-like matrix that slows how quickly carbs are absorbed. Insoluble fiber adds bulk and supports regular digestion. Together, they tend to flatten the glucose curve and improve satiety. Fiber also feeds gut microbes, which produce compounds like short-chain fatty acids that influence metabolism and inflammation. You don't need to memorize that. Just remember, a low-fiber lunch is often a fast lunch, metabolically speaking. Common low-fiber patterns include sandwiches on refined bread, pasta without vegetables, or snack plate lunches that are mostly crackers. A simple upgrade is to add one high-fiber element. Beans, lentils, vegetables, berries, chia, or whole grains you tolerate well. If you increase fiber, do it gradually and drink enough water, because a sudden jump can cause bloating and discomfort. Moving to slide 9. Some people get brain fog after lunch for a different reason: food sensitivities or intolerances. This is tricky territory because symptoms can be real even when tests are normal, and the trigger can be dose-dependent. Common examples people report include lactose intolerance, sensitivity to high FODMAP foods, or reactions to very large amounts of certain additives. The mechanism isn't always allergy. It can be fermentation in the gut, causing bloating and discomfort, which then impacts sleepiness and concentration. It can also be an immune response in true allergies, which is a different and more serious category. The clue here is consistency with specific foods, not just with eating. If brain fog reliably follows one ingredient pattern, especially with GI symptoms like gas, urgency, or cramps, it's worth tracking. A short, structured elimination and reintroduction approach, ideally with professional guidance, tends to be more informative than random restriction. Moving to slide 10. Another underappreciated factor is iron, B12, and overall nutrient status. If you're already running low, the post-lunch period can expose it because your baseline energy is fragile. Iron is involved in oxygen transport. B12 supports nerve function and red blood cell production. Folate, vitamin D, and magnesium can also matter for how you feel, though symptoms overlap and are not specific. The important point is that brain fog after lunch can be the moment you notice a bigger issue, not the cause itself. If you also have persistent fatigue, shortness of breath with mild effort, restless legs, tingling, or unusual paleness, that's a reason to discuss labs with a clinician. Food choices can support nutrient intake, but they don't replace evaluation when symptoms are ongoing. Think of lunch as a stress test. It reveals how much reserve you have. Moving to slide 11. Stress changes what lunch does to you. When you're stressed, your body leans towards sympathetic activation, the fight or flight mode. That can disrupt digestion, alter blood sugar regulation, and make you more sensitive to normal fluctuations. Some people feel wired after eating when stressed. Others feel knocked out. Both can happen because stress hormones interact with insulin and appetite signals. Another pattern is rushed eating. If you eat quickly, you swallow more air, chew less, and often overshoot fullness before your brain catches up. That can lead to a heavier digestive load and more sleepiness. Also, stress often pairs with poor lunch choices, more refined carbs, less protein, less fiber, because the brain wants quick comfort. A practical approach is to separate the meal from the stressor when possible. Even 5 slower breaths before you start can shift your nervous system toward better digestion and steadier energy. Moving to slide 12. Caffeine can also set you up for an afternoon crash. If your morning coffee is strong and early, you may feel great through late morning, then drop hard after lunch when caffeine fades and the circadian dip arrives. Some people also respond to caffeine with appetite suppression, which leads to a smaller or later lunch, then overeating when hunger finally hits. That bigger meal can intensify the rest and digest effect. Another issue is the sweetened coffee drink pattern. Caffeine plus sugar can create a spike and dip combo. The goal isn't to fear caffeine, it's to notice how it interacts with your meal timing and your sleep. If you rely on caffeine to get to lunch, that's a clue your baseline might be low. And if you add caffeine right after lunch to fight the slump, you can push tiredness later into the evening and disrupt sleep, which repeats the cycle. The most useful move is tracking, not judging. Moving to slide 13. So what do you actually do with all this? Use a quick diagnostic framework. First, identify your crash timing. Within 30 minutes suggests meal size and digestion shift. Around 60 to 120 minutes suggests blood sugar dynamics. A same-time daily crash suggests circadian and sleep factors. Next, look at lunch structure. Ask, where is the protein, where is the fiber, and what's the main carb source? Then check the amplifiers: sleep length, stress level, hydration, and caffeine timing. From there, test one change at a time for 3 to 5 lunches, not just one day. For example, keep your lunch calories similar, but add a clear protein portion and one high-fiber side. Or keep the same foods, but reduce the portion slightly and eat more slowly. The point is to create a stable afternoon, not a perfect diet. If your symptoms are intense, persistent, or include red flags like fainting, chest pain, or severe GI symptoms. Moving to slide 14. Let's land this with a few lunch patterns that tend to work for steady energy. Pattern 1. Protein plus a large non-starchy vegetable base, plus a moderate carb portion. Think legumes or whole grains you tolerate, not just refined flour. Pattern 2. A split lunch. If big meals knock you out, eat a slightly smaller lunch and plan a balanced snack later, so you avoid the huge digestive load. Pattern 3. If you're sensitive to heavy fats at midday, keep lunch lighter and move richer foods to dinner while still getting enough total calories. Also consider a short walk after eating. Studies show light movement can improve post-meal glucose handling, which often translates to better alertness. Keep it easy, not a workout. Before we wrap up, one request. For your next 3 lunches, note your crash timing and what you ate. Then you'll have real data instead of guesses. If you want, share your pattern in the comments. Do you crash more with a carb-heavy lunch or a large portion size? And if you found this useful, subscribe for more practical physiology you can apply. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Energy, focus, resilience, built at the cellular level.